I haven't talked about even the Kyrie trade request yet. I got a few thoughts on that before I dive into this trade and how I feel about it, but all I'm gonna say is that when this team was streaking, literally after they had won 11 games in a row, I said, can't trust this team. You can't trust these guys in the face of adversity, whether that be an on-court or off-court issue, whatever's going on. The idea that it was just going to be smooth sailing and we weren't going to have any sort of drama or internal issue for the rest of the year. I remember walking into the room, seeing this on the TV, volume off, and I'm thinking this is just like a rerun of something, like they're just playing a clip from months ago. No. And in a flash, Kyrie Irving's Nets career has come to a close. So much promise we thought just a month ago or so this team had going into the playoffs this year, vaulting up the standings into second place. But no, Kevin Durant gets hurt, team falls apart. What the hell is the deal with Ben Simmons? Obviously, if you don't have KD, one of the 5 best players on the planet, you're probably going to lose some basketball games. But it really took like 7 or 8 games for Kyrie to say, oh, I'm out of here. Now, I know this has to stem from internal contractual disagreements. The Nets probably didn't want to hold on to Kyrie long term, or at least give him the big bucks that he wanted. He says, you know what? Screw y'all. Get me out of here, or I'm not going to play. Nets can't just lose Kyrie for nothing. And thus, their hand is forced, and they make a trade to bring Spencer Dinwiddie back to acquire the Mavs' best defensive player, which is a key that we're going to talk about a little bit more here shortly. And it's unclear how the Nets will proceed. Probably makes a lot of sense for KD to now want to get out of there. I don't know if they're going to have time to get him out of there before the trade deadline, but the Nets could also just kind of stay where they're at and maintain a decent record. Even without Kyrie Irving, even with these other guys, I do think it would be difficult because they have tried to find the perfect deal before for KD. Fact of the matter is the guy is just hard to trade. It's hard to find a deal that works with 2 teams or 3 teams or however many teams. The value in just that one asset that is KD, it's just too high. And so many complications come with that. Now, I do want to shout out the Nets front office for making this deal happen so fast. They had to do something, and even if this value doesn't necessarily equate to Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, what is his value? Do teams really want this guy? Anyway, I mean, some teams obviously, like the Dallas Mavericks, feel a little bit more desperation to acquire a high-level player that's going to help Luka out because clearly they have needs that Kyrie fits the bill of. But at the same time, Kyrie requesting a trade, doing some shit like this again, on top of the reputation he already has. Most untrustworthy, unreliable player in the history of the NBA. Chaos seems inevitable wherever this man goes, so it makes sense that his value is not necessarily what he is on the court. So I can't hate on the Nets at all for what they did here. In fact, the Dallas Mavericks, they seem like the more desperate team in this situation to me, and honestly they should be, because Luka is not going to stay here forever if they didn't get him somebody. I mean, we've been waiting. Kristaps Porzingis wasn't the answer. Jalen Brunson could have been an answer, maybe not the championship answer, but surely you would have had it a lot better had you given him the money that he wanted. Now you have to give up valuable pieces for a guy, albeit amazing basketball player, when he is on the court, not necessarily worth the drama, and also giving up picks as well. So definitely a significant haul. Dorian Finney-Smith, they lose their best defensive player. I'm going to assume this means a lot more minutes for Josh Green. The Mavericks don't have a lot of guys right now that can play the 4. We will probably see some double big lineups with Christian Wood and Dwight Powell at some point. When Christian Wood comes back with Maxi Kleber still out, maybe Reggie Bullock has to play super big, but there's going to be some matchups that they will have trouble with, not just because they lost a guy that can play that position, but also just a guy that can guard so many different players in this league. The guy that is often tasked with guarding the best wing player on the other team. I think now you just ask a lot of Josh Green, who is fairly undersized to guard the Zion Williamsons, maybe the Kawhi Leonards of the world. But we'll see if he's up to the task, because I do like the energy and the ferocity that a guy like Josh Green plays with both ends of the floor, but certainly a specialist on that defensive end of the floor, and will have to be for this team if they want any shot of doing anything. I think they can't really be done making moves because there is a void at that position for them, or certainly in that role. Reggie Bullock can stick defense, but you're going to have Luka and Kyrie on the court together a lot. You're going to want to stagger their minutes, and Kyrie is really going to have to guard, and Luka too, and there may be some exposure. Now, on the offensive end of the court, it is very possible we see these guys butt heads. What's the chemistry going to be like? I think they figure it out. I think they should be very excited. Two basketball minds of this caliber and skill set players, defenses will be terrified of this team, especially going into the postseason. These are two guys, I mean, it's already a chore and a half to guard Luka Doncic. He's good enough to beat the Phoenix Suns by himself, but adding Kyrie to that, now you need two guys that can really guard. So it's kind of like a seesaw for, I think, the trajectory, both ends of the floor. But I suppose the point of optimism for the defense could be the fact that Jason Kidd is a defensive-minded head coach. Schematically, I feel the team has generally been sound at the end of the floor, and you're just going to see more attention to detail there than on the offensive end, where it's just so much let Luka cook, Luka do your thing. So maybe you can draw up some defensive looks and implement some creativity that allows this defense to be maybe at most pedestrian. It's incredibly difficult for me to see this team not getting torched by powerhouse teams. We are going to see a lot of buckets on both ends of the floor as far as the Dallas Mavericks are concerned. But for me as an NBA fan, I love it. Listen, I was excited to watch what KD and Kyrie had in store this year. I thought there was definitely some promise with this Nets team. So many big names rotating in and out of this Brooklyn Nets organization. And they really dropped the ball, squandered it all. The Mavs are so much more exciting to me than they were before from the perspective of an entertainment-seeking spectator. Because man, Luka's fun to watch, but God, it can be frustrating to just see the same thing over and over and over again. And this team was going nowhere the way they were comprised. And now we get to see something very interesting, which is this dynamic duo and what it can accomplish. So I'm excited. Let me know what you guys think about this trade. This has been Bucketology, and I'm out.